peaceful friends. This is Julie from Hello Peaceful Mind, and today we are trying something new. We are doing a video with my friend Marika.
Hi.
And she is going to share her experience with us. So Marika is a very good friend of mine. She's a pet photographer. I think that's how we connected. It was with our love for photography.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a website which is Dirty Dog Photography. So she takes a lot of pictures of dogs, but also of my cat Toby, which was one of your first cat models.
Yes, Toby's great.
Toby is the best. If you haven't seen him, you should check out my Instagram, by the way. And so we're going to talk about alcohol today, which is a subject that I try to open up more about because my husband is not drinking alcohol, and it's not easy every time when we go out, especially for weddings. It can be difficult. Mm-hmm. And I also almost don't drink anymore. And I feel like there's this pressure from society every time, especially when you're a woman and you've been married for 6 years for me. And I'm more than 30 years old. So if I don't drink alcohol, people are looking at me like, are you pregnant? So I think it's something it's important to start opening to talk about, that alcohol and why we don't need to drink, and try to change the society, I guess, about it.
Right.
So, Marika, I know you well.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know you yet. So can you tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. Well, as you said, I'm an animal photographer, and I love it. It's the best job in the world for me. And I'm coming up on 4 years of being sober, and that's really why I wanted to talk with you about this, just because I feel like it's a really great place. A lot of things have changed in my life in the last 4 years, and it's because I quit drinking. And I am married. I have a wonderful husband named James.
Like mine.
James. Who's a musician, like your husband.
They played in the same
band.
They
did, yeah. And he's very supportive. He does drink, and he works in a industry where there's alcohol, but he's really respectful of me and what I need for my life. So it's really important.
So, you stopped drinking 4 years ago. Could you share with us why you decided to stop drinking?
Yeah. So I am 34 and a half now. When I was in, I guess, just around 30, I quit drinking just before I turned 30 because I was going to take a break for a while. But then I had just reached a point in my life where I was depressed. I wasn't doing the things that I really wanted to be doing, which was photographing animals, running a business, living my dream. I wasn't able to do it. I was lonely, and just alcohol was the thing that made me feel better for like a minute. And then it gets bad.
The day after.
Yeah. And it just, right after I turned 30, I did start drinking again because I kind of felt like, I stopped drinking for a few months. Now I can do it. And there's this thing that happens where you start bargaining with yourself, or you start thinking, I'll drink a different thing. Like, my big thing was wine. I loved to drink wine while I made dinner. And then I would just drink it by myself, and I would maybe work on projects, and then I'd never complete a project because I would get too drunk. And I'm laughing because it's not really funny, but it's also like so dumb. But I reached a point where I realized that I could continue the way I was living and never live up to my full potential, or I could eliminate the one thing that was really getting in the way of me living my dreams and also getting in the way of me healing from any of my past stuff. And and thankfully that I reached that moment, and it was a long road. It took years to get there. But the day that I quit drinking 4 years ago, I knew it. I knew it was the time. So
do you feel like it gave you the strength to follow your dream, basically?
Oh, yeah. Because, and it took, that first year was huge transformation. I didn't start following the things, the big things that I wanted to do, because I had a lot of relearning of how to feel things, how to communicate to people and to myself, and how to function in normal society without having a drink in my hand or in my body. And so I let myself have that year. I didn't really do a lot of photography. But when I hit that 1 year mark, I was like, yeah, go time. And it was pretty good. It felt really great. And like really it's been, so this past year has been my biggest growth year of like actually going after the things that I really want in life. And there's no way I would have been able to do it if I was still drinking. It's just, and that's me. That's I know that's what my life would not be the same. So
well, I can connect with you because for me, when I go out in some way, it's hard, especially at the beginning, you go out, you meet up with your friends in the bar, and you're like, well, what am I going to drink if I don't drink alcohol? So now I just drink cherry Coke, which is not always the best in the evening, because then it's, I think, for sleeping, it's like kind of coffee.
Yeah. So one thing that's really great is, so my husband is a manager of a restaurant bar that does really like fancy, awesome cocktails. And anytime I go there, he has whoever's tending bar, he has them make me a non-alcoholic cocktail, like something. It's not always like super crazy, but he just has them make something for me. So it's always, you can always ask.
Yeah.
If you're out somewhere, you don't have to just have cherry Coke, or you don't have to just have some crazy sugary thing. You can ask. And there even are bars in Seattle that have a menu on their menu, like I can't remember what they call it, but that's drinks for people who don't drink alcohol. Or maybe there's a designated driver and they still want to feel like they're partying or socializing, and have a fancy something. So
I need to look at that. It's just, I guess it's a safe choice.
Yeah, maybe what we should do is we'll just go out together and we'll discover the places and what they can make. Yeah. And we'll document it.
We could do that.
Fun. Yeah.
Me too. We might do a video about it.
Oh yeah.
So you kind of already touched it a little bit about it. It's how did your life change after stopping drinking alcohol?
Yeah. Okay, so right after I quit drinking, I really actually laid low. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't hang out with anybody. And really for the first 40 days, and the reason it's I remember the number is because when I first quit drinking, I was reading as much material as possible about what happens to your body and when you are drinking, and then how to heal that. And I read somewhere that your liver takes 40 days to regenerate. And so I just kind of looked at it like, okay, I'm going to get 40 days in, and then I'm going to maybe tell some more people. Because I just told a few people. And I actually remember when I got to that 40 days and I went kayaking on Green Lake, and I posted a photo, and I wrote something about how I haven't had a drink in 40 days. And I felt really amazing. But it's just, so I think things that started happening was just like my brain felt better. I don't know how to really explain that, but I had so much more hope. And the thing too is that I just started seeing the world differently. And I feel like I had so much more compassion for people and for myself, than I had before. One of the biggest things that's changed for me is that I don't shame people for having some sort of issue with substance, or with if it's depression, if it's something that makes them not normal.
Yeah, but nobody is normal.
Nobody's normal. So. I know, but for what, quotes. Yeah. I just feel differently, because I know now, on being on the other side of something, I'm like, whoa. A lot of the reason why I was in that is because I shamed myself. I was angry with myself. So I just drank more, and it just is this horrible cycle. So I never want to cause that for anyone else. So that was a big thing that changed in my life. There are so many things. I could go on forever, but that's, every day something. I have more opportunities. I'm not afraid of stuff. I mean, I have little fears of things, but
Did it help you to feel more in control of your life?
Yes. Well, part of that too, though, is letting go of having to have control. I think that's. So I think, when I was young, when I was in high school, I never drank. I never had a drinking problem until in my maybe mid-20s. And I never wanted to drink when I was young. I hated the idea of it, because I was like, I don't ever want to be out of control. And I just had this idea about it. And I'm not actually anti-alcohol. This isn't the problem. Alcohol isn't the problem. It's our idea of people who have issues with it, who have our bodies react differently to it. I definitely think that alcohol has its place, and we have like amazing people doing amazing things with, craft cocktails, craft beer, and a lot of these places that do great things for charities, but there's just not enough communication about what happens when you can't be a part of that. And that, we make, like, I know I never got the opportunity to learn how to drink, how to like drink responsibly, how to be that person who could go wine tasting socially with friends and, spit the wine out in the bin.
I think nobody does.
Yeah, no, I know, but I never learned that.
Yeah.
Or I never learned how to really appreciate a beautiful cocktail. It just never got there for me.
Yeah.
And maybe it never would have, but what the conversation that I want to have is that if you are having a problem, you're not the only person, and there are certain things that happen and that you feel that other people are feeling, and it means that you just can't have that relationship with alcohol.
Yeah.
So.
Well, sometimes also it takes a few try, I guess, to realize that you cannot have this relationship with alcohol, because you think you won't drink for like a few months, and then you just go to a wedding. Usually weddings are the worst for relapse. Yeah. So it's just, then you're in the mood and you think you can handle it, and then you just go back. So it's also, I guess, it's a journey. It's not something that happened one day, you decide you're done. Yeah. And
it takes a while to get to that point. Yeah. Well, and I think also it's important to realize that if you don't need to beat yourself up if you fail. Yeah. If it's you're okay. You're learning from it. Yeah.
That's the thing, is like, people, I think, often they try something, it doesn't work, and they just give up. Yeah. But it's just, you need to try to stay positive and continue fighting, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what helped you?
What helped me
to stop drinking?
Yeah. I like this question because that's when I can talk about the book. So the thing that actually made me the day that I decided, oh, this is the end, I'm never drinking again. I was home. I had called in sick to work. Didn't go to work that day. I was hungover. But it was more than that. I was really depressed, and I was like, I have to change something. And I was like, I need to right now. And so I decided to, I had ordered this book on Amazon, but I was impatient, and I was like, screw it, I'm going to get it on Audible and listen to it while I clean my house. And 20 minutes in I was like, I'm done. Because all of these things that have been going on in my brain for years about drinking, and about myself and about, life, I was relating to, they were in this book. This person who wrote this book had experienced them as well, and was saying, like, wrote things in this book that were exact thoughts that I had. And I just, this light bulb went off for me that was like, I am not alone. Oh my gosh, there's someone who, and probably like hundreds of thousands of women who have gone through this exact same thing. And maybe most of them have no idea that we're all in it together, that we all are feeling the same things. And what it means is that alcohol is not for you.
Yeah.
It just isn't. And that's okay. Oh my God, life is so much better without it for me. It just really is. But yeah, the book is Drinking a Love Story by Caroline Knapp.
You should.
I just want to show it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the glare. Okay.
Yeah.
And I recommend it to anybody who has someone in their life struggling with alcohol, and anyone who is struggling with their relationship with alcohol. I mean, even the Audible version is fantastic too. I love books. I love real books. So, so I love it. And then the other thing, so that was the thing that the day I listened to that book, I've actually, since I have listened to it probably 5 times, because every now and then I'm like, I need it again. I need a reminder. And then so there's a website or an organization called Soberistas, and I got their book. It's called The Sober Revolution: Women Calling Time on Wine O'Clock. So this is really good. But the thing that really helped me was their 6-week plan. It's basically a journal journaling that every day you write in. There are different exercises. And so this really helped me get through those first 6 weeks, because I was like every day doing it. And then the other thing that helped me is that several months before I quit drinking, I had heard about the overnight, out of the darkness overnight walk, which is for what is it called? I guess it's a suicide awareness and prevention campaign. And what they do is they go to different cities and they do an overnight walk. So it was like 17 miles throughout the city of Seattle overnight. And I had heard it on the radio as I was driving to work one day, and I just, for some reason, it really connected with me, because I was really depressed, and just I felt like I needed something. I needed to do something. And so one night when I was drunk, I signed myself up. And there was also an obligation to raise $1,000, at least $1,000. And so I ended up, I was like, like a month before, I didn't train for it, which is stupid, because I was, struggling with my relationship with alcohol leading up to it. And then I quit drinking 2 weeks before the actual walk. And so when I went and did the walk, I was all by myself, and there were thousands of people there, but I was there by myself. And so people were there, and they had t-shirts that had like people's names on them, of people that they knew who had taken their own lives. It was really moving. I was like crying all the time, like trying really hard not to cry, because it was just really emotional and really beautiful. And but I felt really weird because I was by myself. And I remember at one point, it probably was about 8 miles in, there were 2 people that we kind of were in line together, like walking, and they were telling me their story, and they had come up from somewhere in California. And then I remember that they asked me, well, who are you walking for? And I felt really bad. I was like, I don't have anybody that I'm walking for. And then I realized, no, I'm walking for me. And I told them that. I was like, I'm walking for me, I guess. And that's like, that is what all of this is walking for ourselves. And I did that entire 17 point something miles, and I was in so much pain. Yeah. So actually I have a short leg, and so here in Seattle we do have a lot of hills. Yeah. And so when doing so much hill stuff, like basically my leg was straight by the end and I was just like wobbling, but I made it all the way. But after that moment I was like, I don't need to feel bad about doing something for me, about changing my life for myself. Not, it's wonderful to do things for the world, do things for other people, and but you have to do it for you. Yeah. And so that's one of the big things that helped me is by the time I got done with that overnight walk, and I just kind of sat there and was waiting, it was like 4 a.m. for my husband to come pick me up. And I just was like,
by car.
My car, yeah. Well, because it was over, and we weren't married yet at that point. But I remember sitting there and being like, I just did that. Okay, I got this thing. I got this. Like, I'm 2 weeks in to not drinking. I just walked so far overnight. I can do this. Yeah. And so I guess my thing about that for anyone who's, struggling and wants to quit drinking, like maybe what's something that you wouldn't normally do that can help, that you can focus on, that might be bigger than quitting drinking, but I don't know. Yeah. We all have something.
That makes sense. Doing something for you once in a while is good. The thing is, like, a lot of people actually forget, like, they put themselves after their kids, their husband, family, friends, and that's why you end up in this big depression, because you don't. You lose yourself.
Exactly. And that's what was happening for me in drinking. Is I lost who I was. Yeah. I didn't know who I was anymore, and I could feel that, and it made me feel worse and worse, and so I drank more and more.
It's like this cycle.
Yeah.
You drink to forget.
Yeah.
But then you drink to forget that you drank.
Yeah. So it's or you chase it because you're like, for like a minute, like I said at the beginning, it's like, oh, for a minute you feel great because you're, your chemical reaction, and then you keep trying to keep that, but then eventually it's all gonna come back.
Yeah. Well, like the weird thing for me, it's even if I only have one glass of alcohol, I feel guilty the day after. It's in my head, and I'm not hangover or whatever, but I'm not feeling good about myself. Right. Which is, my husband's think I'm weird, but So what do you think are the obstacles that you had to overcome during your journey?
Since I quit drinking, what kind of obstacles have come up? Big ones are social events. I'm fine being around people drinking and my friends drinking. The point that gets hard for me is when it gets late and people are drunk. It's more so if I don't know them. So, which is hard because my husband's a musician, and so he has shows out at bars. And it's great if there are other people there that I know and I can sit and hang out with them. But then if drunk people come up and try to talk to me, it's just, I don't outwardly show it, but it's really hard for me because I can't, I just can't do it. I just can't have the conversations that, it's just, that's an awkward thing. I've never had any temptation to drink. What happens is I will feel nostalgic for the social aspect of like going out with girlfriends and drinking, and then I'll remember I never did that. I still, like, every now and then, it was really rare, but it'd be more like, oh, when all of us are back in our hometown, but I didn't really go out that often. Yeah. So it's like, oh, it was more the idea of like, oh, maybe, you know,
the possibility.
The possibility. And so, but now it's like, wait, I can go out to coffee or tea with my friends and get a lot more done and remember our conversations
and have a more meaningful.
Yeah. Oh, together. And remember to wash my face before I go to bed. Like,
it's a good thing.
Yeah, so it's just little things, but I've never been tempted to actually drink. I've never been like, oh, I need to drink.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful for that. And obviously like some obstacles are telling people.
Yeah.
But because I think a lot of people didn't know that I had a problem because I hid it. It was.
Well, it's not something you talk about.
No, and I also didn't go out that often and get trashed. And if I did, it was with other people who also did it, who also got drunk.
So they forgot about it.
Yeah. But it was to the point where going out drinking with friends, we would be, one of the things that I connected in this Drinking a Love Story, it totally speaks what I was experiencing. And one of the big things was when you're out and you're having a glass of wine, and before you're even done with that first glass of wine, you're thinking about the third glass. Like, you're like, when is it going to be? And you can't concentrate on conversation because you're just thinking about that. And it sucks. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that other people experience that. But when I read about it, I was like, okay. And what was great about this book is it actually, for me, I could see where I was headed. And I didn't want to go there. And so that was a big thing. And I think the other obstacles have just been having to experience stresses and just different things in life and do it without any sort of substance to help to cope. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had to cope as just my flesh, me. Yeah. That's it. And figure it out. Which there are so many great ways to do that.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have a dog to hug, too.
I think pets are really good, actually, for stress and anxiety.
Oh, yeah. So. They make everything better.
Yeah. Toby, where are you? Well, I can relate to what you're saying, especially with France. The culture in France, we have a big culture around alcohol. Mm-hmm. And when we were in France last June, it was really hard for my husband, who doesn't drink. Because we went to a wedding and he was like, well, I don't drink alcohol, and people were like, why don't you drink alcohol? It's kind of like it's hard for people to accept it.
Well, I think because there's really, people have an idea of what it means. They don't know that there are so many different reasons people don't drink, and there are so many different levels of having issues with alcohol. And people don't want to look at themselves if they have a problem. They don't want to. Unfortunately, a lot of the time people aren't rooting for you. They want to see you fail. They want, because it makes their life look better or feel better. I totally relate to that. Thankfully I do have I have great family and friends who are totally supportive, because then I also I was really honest with them when the time came to talk about it, because I was at a point where I could talk about it, and I was like, and now they get to see the things that I'm doing and how happy I am, and that's so much better.
And it's also helping them. When I talk with Paul about depression, usually people can connect to it and start to open up themselves too.
Yeah.
Which I think is therapeutic for both parties.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So my next question is kind of like what we're talking about right now. It's that people don't always understand like why you will stop drinking alcohol. Like you don't have to have being blacking out every weekend or every night to have a problem with alcohol. So some people have a hard time getting the idea why. So how did your friends and family take it? Were they supportive of it? Or?
Yeah. I think I had some family who weren't aware that I had a problem, and then other family who really knew because I had been talking about it. But I think more importantly, I had reached out. I had asked for help, and I don't think anybody knew how to help me.
Yeah.
And maybe part of it too was didn't want to look at their own issues with substances and you know, depression or anything. And it's a lot to take on when someone, you know, when you have your own stuff and then someone else is dealing with something, it's a lot. And so I get it, like, but that's why when I quit drinking, I did it for me. I did it myself. I didn't do anything other than that. And so I think a lot of people were really happy for me. And then other people were like, oh, okay. They didn't really get it. And so I didn't go too far into it with them because I'm like, it's okay. They just, all people need to know is they're like, hey, I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
I'm cool though. I'm cool. You guys do your thing. It's another thing. I don't judge people. I'm not going to pass that judgment because I know how horrible that is to a person who is trying to figure it out.
You just mind your business and they mind
if they
their
ask
business.
for help, yes, absolutely, I will help you. And my friend, like I feel like people were really great. I haven't experienced anyone being a jerk. Or at least I don't remember it because they don't matter to me.
Okay, that's good. When you don't talk to them anymore.
But I think it's also because when I got to the point where I was telling people, I really came from a place of I'm not judging you for drinking. Like this is just my journey, my path. I'm not drinking anymore. And the big way that I told people was when I hit 1 year, I wrote this whole thing about being 1 year sober and the journey.
And we're going to link it.
Yeah, I'll link that. Yeah, I'll link that. Because it was pretty powerful for people. That was when I had people who reached out to me who didn't know that I was going through that journey, and it was just, I think it was really emotional for them because they didn't know.
Yeah.
And then to find out, and that they're like, so it's kind of like they had to deal with like, oh my God, she was struggling. Yeah. She was really upset and really like sad and a mess. But I didn't know that. But it's like, hey, but I'm a year sober, you know? I know.
Better.
Yeah.
It's time to celebrate.
Yeah.
So what do you wish people knew about alcohol abuse?
That it's real, that it happens to anybody. It can happen to anybody. Like, anyone you know could be struggling. Yeah. For so many different types of reasons. It could be actually, you know, medical issue, could be, you know, in their DNA, or, you know, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, so I don't know how all of it works, but the reality is that it's there, and people should be able to talk about it and not feel bad that they have an issue. But also I know that a lot of families go through a lot with people who have issues, but it's just making sure that we acknowledge it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same than depression and anxiety. It's kind of taboo. Yeah. Talking about it is taboo.
Well, and I think that it's important to understand that there are so many different faces to it. It's not like for me, like people who are really close to me had no idea. Yeah. I didn't even fully know until I read this book and realized, oh, I'm feeling all those things too. Yeah. And this person had a really big problem, and I'm headed there. I did have a problem, but it's like, I don't know. I think for me too, the big thing that I've realized is that having values or having just general ideas of what you want your life to be and kind of gauging things against that. Like if it's a thing that takes away joy, takes away safety, takes away love, you know, like real good love, takes away like my ability to live the life that I want, like that's not a good thing to have in your life. You know, like if it takes those things away, if it prevents me from doing the good things that I want to be doing in life, then that's not, you know.
Well, like for me, I feel like it was bringing more negativity.
Yeah.
The thing is, I still drink. I just drink once every 6 months, half of a glass.
Yeah.
I cannot finish my glass anymore, which people who went to college with me might be surprised right now. But it's just, I don't see it as this forbidden fruit, but I just don't feel like, first of all, I don't need it anymore because I used to not be confident, and I think alcohol was a way to, you know, when you go out, it's like, hey, let's party. Yeah. Now I can just talk to people without it. Yeah. And I can have jokes without it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can laugh without it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's so many people who can have, you know, multiple drinks and be totally fine and then stop drinking. Yeah. Like, be like, oh, I'm just going to drink, you know, this day. Or they can have a drink after work and be fine. Yeah. But I really want people to understand that if you're that person who goes out to drinks after work with your coworkers or with other people who can do that, can handle it, and you can't, it's okay that you can't. It's totally okay.
It's hard.
It's hard, but you can still, you know, and it's still, you're not bad. You're not a bad person for not being able to handle it. It's just not meant for you.
But I feel like there is kind of this feel, you know, especially for going for happy hour with your coworkers. I feel like you have kind of this pressure to go with them and drink, and
commiserate.
Well, because then there's this fear of missing out and feeling left out. So it's difficult.
Oh, totally.
The society we're living in. It's not always easy to not follow the norm, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and it's also a matter of like retraining yourself to new things.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me a long time to relearn how to do stuff.
It took me years to be at this point where I don't feel the need to drink alcohol when I'm out with friends.
Yeah, and then there's the whole like, one thing I really don't like is when people say things like, "Oh, I need a glass of wine," or or I deserve it, or when people. I mean, I know people joke about it a lot. I mean, there are T-shirts or there are mugs.
Memes on Facebook,
so many
all
memes,
the
like
time.
all of that. Like for me, it's like I don't find it funny because it's not my life anymore, and I feel like it's really encouraging that. You don't ever need to have like you had a bad day. Yeah. You don't have to have booze or wine or beer to make it better. No. There's so many other things you can do, and. So that's just one of my pet peeves when I see stuff and I just want to be like, no.
I feel the same when I'm on Facebook and I see people. I feel like it's like drinking a glass of wine when you get home is the cool thing to do when you're a woman after, like when you're in your 30s and 40s. And it's like you have this expectation that you're a grown-up woman, so you're going to drink wine while cooking dinner.
Right.
And it's kind of, when I see that on Facebook, mostly I'm like...
Yeah, and I mean, people can do whatever they're going to do, but I think, like, I guess the thing also that kind of gets me is, like, when you see a lot of, promo or commercial photos for different, like, social media influencers and stuff, and there's, like, a glass of wine there.
Because they're
like,
successful.
Just sitting there, yeah. I'm just like...
When you're successful, you drink wine.
Yeah. I want to see a stack of money. That's what I want to see. Show me a stack of money, not that glass of wine.
Just take a bath in bills.
Yeah. I'll be like, okay. Or like, a bunch of kittens. That would be cool.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because you need to take care of the kittens.
Yeah.
So it's, you need to have the money to feed all of those kittens.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So let's go back to.
I know, we're like lots of tangents.
So what do you have any tips for someone who wants to start like not necessarily like stopping drinking completely, but like reduce the alcohol without feeling pressure, I guess?
Yeah, well, first of all, if you think you do have a problem, please see a doctor or find somebody who's a professional in helping people, because I wouldn't know what your level is and if you needed actual medical assistance. I fortunately did not need that, but I would never want to say anything and tell people to try to go cold turkey or anything like that. But if you're someone who wants to take a break or just is trying to not have it be part of their life so much, then I would say first of all, like, figure out what you can do to take care of yourself. Replacing, like, start meditating or find a great activity that has nothing to do with drinking. Maybe start going on evening walks when you maybe would want to drink, or go for a hike or take a bath, or things that aren't alcohol related. Get this book. Yeah, do that. Read that. And there actually I have more books on my Audible.
We can put
that are more things that I listened to in the weeks after drinking or after quitting drinking. Other tips, I would say. One thing that also helped me is I started making my own mocktails, and because it was at the end of May when I quit drinking, so I had that whole summer. So I was like, oh gosh, no more like going out and like sitting on my deck drinking wine or a cocktail. So then I was like, I'm gonna make myself something. So I made my own mocktails, and I would drink them on the back deck and read a book and hang out with my dogs, and it was fantastic. So that's a good thing too. Find other things that are refreshing to drink that are and yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much what I got. I mean,
okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. A good
and
list.
or if you can find a support group, that is always good. Check out the Soberistas. They have a subscription that you can do, a membership. That's I have not personally used it, but I know that it has worked for a lot of people. So.
Well, and there's also AA.
Yeah, AA. I don't have any experience with that, so I can't really speak to that. But if that works for people, then great. Then do that for sure.
And so another question is, what do you think people can do to support their friends and family who are trying to stop drinking?
Oh,
what helped you? Like, what did your husband now, but boyfriend at the time?
Yeah. He was just really sweet, really kind to me, and just overall really supportive. And he really limited his drinking around me. And like he would mostly like go out with friends, like because he's a musician, so he would drink after shows. And we still have alcohol in our house, but I'm totally fine. But he, and it's also things I never would have really liked. And he, like I said earlier, he would have people at the bartenders at his restaurant. He would have them make me something different, and he would help me come up with fun things to drink. And just really encouraging me to go after the things that I care about too. And he really also, he gave me space. That was it too. Like he wasn't hovering and making sure that I was, sticking to what I said, which is something, I know. Yeah, I can't. He does that on some other stuff, but but with this, he really let me he let me be independent, and because he knew that I was like, I'm doing it my way, and this is, you know, this is how I have to do it. So I think that's the thing, is listen. If you have someone who, listen to what they need, ask them what you can do. Yeah. Don't try to take control of it, because that's not fair. That's the problem. A lot of people, they don't need another person telling them what to do. Yeah. But you can just support them and be there for them. And also make sure, like, if it is if it's the type of thing where they're in AA, go to, what's the other one? Oh my gosh, there's there's another group. I can't think of what it is. There are support groups for people who have someone in their life who is struggling with substance abuse. Yeah. So do that for yourself, or like read these books too. Read the books so you know what they're going through. Yeah.
Well, like being in a relationship with someone who has alcohol abuse, it's not always easy as being the person. Yeah. Because you have to be careful, you have to help them, but you have to be careful to not push them away by being too controlling, I guess. Yeah. Because when you try to control the situation, people will kind of get put off and might relapse more.
And not tell you, and do it in secret. Yeah.
Won't trust you.
Yeah, because that's another thing, is adding disappointment on top of it, and shame.
Feeling guilty.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's like my husband when I was in the worst of my drinking near the end, like, he would come home and I would be already drunk, because I would start, you know, cooking and drinking wine, and I would have an empty stomach because I'm making dinner, and just it would already be there, and he'd come home and be like, he wouldn't really say anything to me, but I knew it sucked for him. Yeah. I know it sucked for him to see me so sad and so, like, not living the life that I wanted, and there's nothing he could do, because it was me. I had to do it. And so, yeah.
Well, I think to be able to change your life and get, you know, life-changing decision, you have to be the one who you have to have a déclic, which is in French. You have to have you know, like, one moment when you're like, this needs to change. Right. Like, this is what happened for me with depression. I was like, I was depressed for a long time, but it took me one moment where I was like, okay, this is not normal. Yeah. I need to do something about it. Yeah. And it has to come from you. Yeah. Because if someone else is telling you, my husband told me for years that, I think you're depressed, and I was like, no, I'm fine.
Right. So. Yeah. That's a really good point to bring up, because it is there. I'm trying to think of what the word is too, or the saying.
In French?
Yeah. I don't know French. I
can teach you.
Oh my gosh. Yes. The next time we'll just speak all of
We'll do an interview in French next time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is that moment. Yeah. That moment.
But it can happen anytime. You don't have any control over that. Yeah. So just wait for it. I don't know what to say.
It's like a wake-up call, but it's not.
Wake-up call.
Yeah, but it's also, it's a little bit more, it's bigger than that. Yeah. Like a wake-up call is, I don't know. It's more, I feel like what we're talking about is a little bit more beautiful than a wake-up call. It's just like a moving moment of like, an epiphany. Yeah, there we go. Of like, oh, this is, because for me, I suddenly was like, I can see the possibility. I can see what my life is capable of becoming. Let's do that. Yeah.
Let's go to this direction.
Yeah. Let's do nicer. That. I'll take that one, please.
Yeah. This mocktail.
Yeah. Yes.
So, what do you think, like, is helping you in your journey to make it easier?
Talking about it is great. And I think that was another thing too, is one of the things I envisioned after like kind of when I got past that, after I did that overnight walk, I was like, there's going to be a day when I'm going to talk more about this stuff with people, and I hope that it can inspire them to do what they need to for themselves, for their lives. And that's been the biggest thing is whenever I'm around someone who maybe has similar experience or whatever, in whatever way, and we get to talk about it, and I can tell them my story and I can hear theirs, it helps me. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so nice to connect with people.
Well, it's kind of like my blog, Hello Peaceful Mind,
Yeah.
is therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
It actually started as a way to hold me accountable into taking action to change my life.
Yeah.
But since now I talk about depression, like I talk about the weather.
Right.
It was hard at the beginning, but now it's just like, hey, so yeah, I have depression.
Yeah. There is that scary thing though about like talking about it publicly.
Yeah.
Because the accountability, because it's like, oh, what if something happens, or because like for me, like one thing that I'll get a little bit nervous about, because I don't talk about it a ton, like on social media. I would like to talk about it more, but about being sober and my whole journey. But I also on Instagram, I have photographs of I photograph the drinks at my husband's restaurant and like food and stuff, and that's part of my work. That's part of what I do, and supporting him. And so I sometimes will be like, well, what if people think, oh, I thought she was sober. Why is she posting photos of, alcohol? And it's like, well, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not anti-alcohol. It's not the problem. I support people who have, who need to move through their issues with alcohol. But I'm still gonna, take these photos for my husband's restaurant. So yeah.
It's about you, not about them.
Yeah. So that's I always will get a little hesitant about that, but then I'm like, no, you know what? It's fine. I can be myself.
Yeah.
And
I think it's important to don't see it as this forbidden fruit, but more like creating. Yeah. It's all about creating habits that are good for you at the end. Yeah,
and I think I've also definitely had times where maybe I've not talked with people for a while or whatever, and then I just I get a weird feeling from them where they're like, expecting that I've fallen off and I've been drinking, and I'm just like, why do I even feel that? Why do I feel like I owe anything to them? I don't owe them anything, because and I'm like, but wait, I know my truth. I know that I have stayed true to what is best for me, and it doesn't matter what they think.
Yeah, but it's not easy.
Yeah, but that's the thing. These are all things that always, in the past, going through my brain, I would have drank an alcohol because I'm like, I don't want to hear those voices. I don't want to listen to it. And I was like, no, you know what? I have to have a conversation. And sometimes I am talking to myself. Yeah. But I have to have a conversation with these things completely sober and move through them. So.
Yeah. So do you have any self-care activities that you like to do?
Yes. Hugging my dog.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I hug my cat in the morning.
Yeah. And really, my work as an animal photographer, that's the thing. I mean, it's what I've wanted to do for so long. Every time, and being able to tell people's stories through images, it's the best thing that I could ever be doing, and it makes and because I don't drink, I'm able to do it. Meditation is really great. I love it. And really like dreaming like about stuff, like thinking about what do I want to do, and then making things happen. And then I just like I'm also kind of a workaholic because I'm a creative person, so I can get stuck in doing something and I love it too much, and then I don't, and then I'm in pain and sick because I haven't taken care of myself. So something I did actually just on Tuesday, I went to the spa.
How was it?
It was fantastic. And I went by myself because sometimes I just want to be by myself.
Yeah.
But I was there and then we met up afterwards. It was so good.
Did.
And I think that's another thing is getting out and hanging out with friends is so important.
It's hard when you're home all day.
Yeah.
But it's good.
It's good, yeah. I think, well, and I actually, yesterday, I just bought a kayak. So that's going to be my number.
You did?
I did. I bought, it's my first kayak. And
I have a kayak too. We can go kayaking.
You do? Oh my God, I'm so excited.
But I'm just too lazy to put the air in
Oh,
it.
yes. Okay. That's great.
But I was telling
okay.
Jimmy yesterday, we need to get the kayak out. It's sunny in Seattle, by the way, people.
Oh, yeah. It was like 70 degrees yesterday, maybe, or something. Or, no. So that's going to be my biggest thing is going kayaking. Because when like I said, when I hit that 40 days sober, I went kayaking. And it was, there's just nothing like feeling the water under you when you're in a kayak.
Well, then you hear the water, you feel the sun on your skin. Mm-hmm. It's just so, and it's beautiful. Yeah. Seattle is beautiful. Yeah. So I think see the trees.
Yeah, the being outside is a big thing. And you can't. You can go get drunk and be in nature, but it's not safe or smart. So
and it's not the same, I guess.
No, you don't remember stuff. So so my kayak is going to be my big self-care thing.
I like that.
Yeah.
And so do you have any last tips for people that are watching us?
Last tips.
Or listening to us, maybe?
Listening. Yeah. Well, I'm going to maybe just the one thing, which is walk for you.
Yeah.
Like, do this for you.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's about you.
Yeah.
So I think this is it. We talked a lot.
Yeah, I know. We could do.
We always talk a lot.
We always do. We always end up hanging out way longer than we thought we were gonna.
I'm like, oh no.
Which is so good.
I have some work to do.
Yeah, I know. Oh.
So thank you for taking the time to do that and to be willing to be in front of the camera.
Yeah, I know. Sorry if I made weird faces.
Oh, I do too, so don't worry. So I'm going to put the list of the resources, like all the books on the blog, so you will have to click the link in the description. Mm-hmm. Or if you're already on the blog watching the video, the links are below. And so one last question is where people can find you and your work.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram, a few different places, but my personal account, which is public, but I do lots of different photos, of my dog, is at Marika Moffitt, MarikaMoffitt. Still getting used to that new last name. And then my business account is Dirty Dog Photography, and that's at DIRTIEDOG Photography. And I was like, I don't want to spell everything.
With a Y, because in French it's IE.
Oh, no, it's with a Y. And then on Facebook, you can Marika Moffitt and Dirty Dog Photography. Just search for it. And then my website is www.dirtydogphotography.com.
And I will link all of that in the blog post too. So that way you can just go there and click on everything. That will make it easier.
Yes. I know. I'm in so many places that I can tell you, but I'm mostly Instagram's my favorite. So that's the best. Yeah.
I removed Facebook from my
your phone.
Well, you do.
Yeah, I don't have the app on my phone, but I still go on there. Yeah. I have the business app.
Yeah, I removed all of it.
I kept because now with like the Facebook Business Manager, you can't access your business account through your regular account. It's a weird thing, so I still have that one.
I just go on my computer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Facebook.
Actually, I wrote an article about 3 reasons why you should remove Facebook from your phone.
Ooh.
If you want to go check out on hellopeacefulmind.com. So, I think this is it for today. Mm-hmm. And we're saying goodbye. And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
And now.